Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. We decided to do a little live stream today instead of having to film this and then chop it up. And then it will probably only be out like 36 hours before the Golden Globes on Monday. So we're doing it live. So it will be a few days ahead. Hello to everyone who is joining us. Yes, we'll talk about all of this soon. Hello, hello. So, Golden Globes are interesting. I think hello Anthony, how are you doing? I'll introduce you first. There's a lot to talk about here, but are you ready to talk Golden Globes?
I
I
am.
should let you speak before I talk about their change in voting body and such.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think because, the Golden Globes are definitely a different voting group and voting body than they were 5 years ago, even.
Mhm.
But it's not like all those members have gone away. So there's
Some of them, but not all.
some of them. There's a specific category that I think is going to be really interesting to see what sort of globes we're dealing with and how much of the old voting body is still around. And we'll get to that category. But yeah, I mean, it continues to be a really interesting race. When Wicked wins the National Board of Review, I feel like that
And
just
director.
and director, that kind of shows you I'm glad I got out in front of Wicked early to
You
show that
did.
it was a serious contender, but also kind of shows you that anything's possible. This is really shaping up to be another year like 2015 or 2018 where we're scrambling and we're searching all over and none of the guilds are alike, which makes it for a fun conversation. I feel like we had fun last year, like we always have fun discussions,
Yeah.
but this is definitely, I think, what we prefer to do because it really tests us. It tests our awards muscles.
Yeah, for sure. I think last year it got very predictable very early, and I got a little taste of that with the AFI top 10. We touch on all that stuff, but that top 10 felt like a pretty solid Best Picture top 10 to me. But we'll see. Talking about the Golden Globes though for now. Yeah, this is a completely different awards body than we even knew 2 years ago, because in 2023, April 2023, they got rid of, I think they only had like 90 or some
Yeah,
HFPA members. They got
less
rid
than
of some of them and they added, I think they're up to now like 310 or so members. So the old HFPA members, who I think were more swayed by star power or how much merch the studio sent them and all that stuff, who they could sit next to during the ceremony, are outnumbered by the new voters, who are more critics. I think will have more international highbrow tastes, as we saw last year with like Alma Poisty getting nominated. I don't think the old Golden Globes would have done that. So we don't have much to work off of, honestly, because there were still plenty of old Golden Globe style nominations last year. Like Jennifer Lawrence still got in for No Hard Feelings. It's not like they're still completely not swayed by star power. So it'll be interesting. It's
And
interesting to balance. We don't have enough like material to really work off of how they're going to vote. So
I want to caution everybody that if we're using last year in particular as like, okay, this is who the Globes are, I think we should be wary because it's not too often that what is seen as the best movie of the year also almost makes $1 billion. Oppenheimer riding that line kind of did distract us from really getting a sense of where the Globes are. That's why I think Wicked is really interesting because that is the sort of movie that the Globes would embrace. And so that's, Wicked versus Nora and Amelia Perez in the comedy musical categories are going to be really revelatory. Because again, Oppenheimer doing well, like, yes, that's not surprising. It's a great film. But it was other than Barbie, the most seen movie of last year. So the fact that it was very popular, I think that's something, when we're looking for trends in these new globes, something to keep in mind. So I'm really fascinated with this year. I mean, what I do think is interesting too is that other than a complete unknown, I feel like we've seen most of everything that's in contention between the two of us.
yeah.
So maybe there's like a little indie in one of the acting categories that we still have to catch up on, or an animated contender. So we're come. I know a lot of commenters are like, you shouldn't talk about it until you've seen it. Well, we've seen most
We've
of it.
seen most of these, yeah. I still need to see the Brutalist. I'm trying, but we're getting there for sure. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start off with Best Picture Drama, which the top six here should be easy. I think Conclave, Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing all make sense. And if you want to be accurate, you should put a complete unknown in that sixth spot, because that makes sense, and that's probably what you're doing. But
Oh, yeah.
I'm relying on them doing, because that top, like, there were instances last year where like the top six felt easy, and we thought The Color Purple would get in, and it turns out it didn't, and Air got in instead. So I feel like it's not going to be super easy in both of these picture drama and picture comedy musical categories, and both of them feel like a very easy top six in my opinion. So I'm going with them being I'm holding on to hope, as I usually says. I'm holding on to them doing something a little different in that last spot. And then Complete Unknown could be a little unseen right now. I don't know how much screeners are sending out. It's a late release, which has hurt movies at the Golden Globes before, like The Color Purple, releasing on the same day as The Color Purple. So it could be a viewing issue. I'm not sure how many of them see it. It does fit old HFPA member vibes more than it does new members, which are more criticky, more international. I do think Baby Girl fits that. I think as the season continues and more people see that film, it's continually getting more recognition and shout outs. I forget what it was. It just got a #1 spot on some list. Nicole Kidman won NBR Best Actress. So it's a liked film, especially by critics. So I don't know. I'm going with that, especially because if you want to do an international pick here, which I think would make sense, I just feel like you're split between 3 different options there with I'm Still Here, The Room Next Door, and The Seat of the Sacred Fig, and I'm not sure which one to go for. I'm tempted to say I'm Still Here, but then Seat of the Sacred Fig has a good narrative to it. Room Next Door is Almodovar, so I'm like, maybe they split votes. So I don't know. I'm taking a little risk there. The Golden Globes are never extremely predictable, so it's worth taking some fun risks than just going with the top 6.
Yeah. I think that as far as your runners up, I think I'm Still Here and The Room Next Door at least have the advantage of potentially getting in other categories, which means that their profile is improved because of that. I think it's hard to get in for one category, and that being Best Picture, which is what I worry about with Seat of the Sacred Fig at this point.
Yeah.
I do have a Complete Unknown in there. I think it's coming on really strong. I think stronger than people are expecting, and I think Timothée Chalamet is really going to, throw. We knew he would, but I think is win competitive for actor. And I think James Mangold, when he's on, he really just manages to be this little electric, contender in the corner. And Ford v Ferrari just can drive its way to I believe it got film editing and sound, right? It got 2 Oscars that year, and Walk the Line got Reese Witherspoon. It's her Oscar. Angelina Jolie's an Oscar winner because of James Mangold and Girl Interrupted. So
she is, yeah.
He's just Indiana Jones aside, he just tends to really perform well, and I think that I see this movie, especially when you look at the list, when you look at Sing Sing, Nickel Boys, Brutalist, even Conclave to a degree. Other than Dune, these are very independent films. These are very highbrow films, and so I think Best Film Drama, like a Complete Unknown, I feel like rounds this grouping out. And I think Baby Girl, all the attention is going to Nicole Kidman. I feel like that is something that has just been decided from on high. I would even argue, I think A24 isn't really pushing it in picture categories. I think they're all behind Nicole. So
Yeah.
I'm going to put a Complete Unknown there. I have it at number 5 with Nickel Boys at my 6 and Sing Sing at my 4. And we agree on the top 3 and the placement of those.
Yeah. I think Nickel Boys could miss, but we'll get to this in other categories too. I don't think they're going to go extremely hard for it, but I'm comparing it to kind of how they went for Zone of Interest last year, which they still put in drama, but they didn't love it as much as other awards bodies did. So we'll see. Let's see, any questions? Yeah, I am holding space for Baby Girl for sure throughout the entire award season. And I do agree.
I'm one of the people that she described as holding space for Defying Gravity.
Yeah.
Was I one of the people? It was. I remember one of our commenters was like, Anthony has said the words "defying gravity" like 9 times.
A few times. Yeah, so. You were definitely holding space for it. And yeah, as this is old Golden Globes, old HFPA do love Nicole Kidman, so we'll have to see how much that love is happening. But I think Baby Girl just continues to rise, and I wanted to take I don't want to just go with the top 6 and everything. So that's what I did with that. But if you want to be completely accurate, I would say go with a Complete Unknown. So that's my advice for most people, just not myself, I guess. Now moving on to actress drama. As other people were asking, can Nicole win Best Actress? Yes, I believe so. I actually feel pretty good about this. Look at the last time Nicole Kidman was in a Best Actress drama category where none of the other films were in the drama picture category, which if you have a Complete Unknown in picture drama, then none of these would be. And Guess who won? Nicole Kidman, because they loved her. And guess who she beat? A lead actress in a Pablo Larraín film. So so there's a little parallels there. But I mean, they love Nicole Kidman. It's also, I feel like the remaining, like, what is it, like third of HFPA members, they love her and her star power. And there are like 2/3 of more international critic members, I think, also would really like Baby Girl as a film. It's like a critic's favorite. So I just feel like those two combined, and looking at the competition here, I just feel like Maria is not extremely strong. And I don't think that the critic side of the Golden Globes, that 2/3 are going to go for that. Some of the star power HFPA members might, but I just feel like, I don't know. I feel good about Nicole Kidman winning
Yeah,
here.
Netflix isn't really pushing Maria, I feel,
Not
and
as much as I
maybe
would have
they're
thought.
doing
No.
with a silent campaign. It's not one that film Twitter is aware of, or main critics are being included in. Maybe it's a very concentrated campaign, but yeah, it seems odd. The movie has released in select theaters. It hasn't hit Netflix. It'll hit Netflix next week. So maybe we'll see another big push once the movie's out there. But yeah, I always think Netflix contenders are hurt because they don't have the box office. They don't have this ongoing conversation. The people who want to
Yeah.
watch Maria usually watch it when it debuts on Netflix, and then the conversation sort of fades away from a lot of these contenders. And that's why there's always a lot about them at the beginning, and they're not able to, maintain or even build any momentum. That's what I worry about with Angelina Jolie, especially when there are other musical performers, both, well, not in drama actress, funnily enough.
No,
So
no, she's the only one.
but in the comedy musical category, it's not like that singles her out. Like there are other people who have that degree of difficulty as far as singing in their performances. So yes, I agree with you. I have Nicole Kidman. We actually have the same top three.
Oh, nice.
in
Marianne
that-
Jean-Baptiste,
Yeah, I think this
her
is
first
one of
nomination.
the places you can count on for her to show up. I think the difficult thing about the character is she's not a lovable character, and we've talked
Did
about
you see
that.
the film?
I've read about it.
Oh, yes.
It hasn't
She's not
made its
lovable.
way
Yeah.
yet. I look forward to seeing it. But from what we've read, it's not the character that I think you fall in love with. And we've talked about a bias.
You feel sympathy for her towards the end of the film, though. But for the first half, she is definitely, she's funny though. She's unlikable, but she makes you laugh throughout the first half. So it's an interesting balance. I think she'll get the nominations, but I don't think she'll contend for any wins outside the critics.
And then I agree with you with Pamela Anderson. I have her in there. And I also have Tilda Swinton. So it seems that we both agree that that's the clear contender over Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
I know. So let's get first, and then we also agree Saoirse Ronan. I don't think either of us have in there.
No, I just feel like well, I think we can quickly talk about Saoirse. I think most people probably have Saoirse higher than even like 6 or 5. I think most people still think that she'll get in for the outrun. And I just that film is, both of the films she's sadly a part of are dying on the vine, and that one in particular, that one's really just completely relying on her name and people seeing the film. And this is also more of a critic's body right now, and it wasn't the best critically reviewed film. I just look at these other people like Pamela Anderson and Last Row Girl, better reviews, also much better narrative. She's got a great narrative with that, and she's really campaigning too. Tilda Swinton for The Room Next Door, it's more international critic appeal film. It's a great performance. Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, I do think is a dark horse contender throughout this actress' entire season. You have her higher up?
No, you have her high up.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I think she's a dark horse contender for, and if it were a less competitive year, I would like really look out for her at getting in at the Oscars. I just feel like it's too competitive this year, but like with Sony Pictures Classics behind it, it's getting great reviews. It's got a lot of passion from its fan base in Brazil, online pushing for it. So I feel like in a less competitive year, she could contend here, but I feel like she'll get nominations at multiple different places, including here. And yeah, we talked about Baptiste, so that 6 feels pretty good. But you don't have that. Who's your other one?
So I'm not counting out Torres, and I think if she gets in, I will not be surprised.
Oh, you don't have her.
Because I do think that she fits that Alma Poisty mold that was established last year. This is the thing, and this is the category I was talking about, that this will determine where the Globes are. Kate Winslet has been nominated 12 times. She's won 5 of them. She's almost won half of the time she's up for a nomination. She was one of the rare people to win 2 Globes in one night, because she won Best Actress Drama and she won Best Supporting Actress, both on the film side. It's not like they split it between TV and film. She won 2 of the film, 3 out of the 3 female categories, right? It's because it's supporting actress, an actress, musical comedy, actress, drama. She won 2 of them in one night. She surprised people winning Steve Jobs, and that was the last time she was here for film. And then the last time she was at the Golden Globes, she won for Mare of Easttown. So they love Kate Winslet. And I think
They
that,
do.
there's been a sort of silent campaign in the last couple of weeks for Lee. People, I think, maybe checking it out either on digital or certain screenings. We've heard the Andrea Riseborough name uttered in relation to this film because we're seeing that sort of same grassroots campaign. And I think this is going to be your test if it's already starting to work. Also, again, just if we have the same Globes, because I feel like Kate Winslet in a year where we have 6 nominees would make sense to fit in. So I right now have her at number 6, and that's just because I also to keep it interesting between the two of us, but also I do think that with the Globes, they still do, I feel like, have an eye out for a popular award show. Like they want people to have fun, and they want to invite people that will make the show fun. I mean, part of their which I don't know if they're doing this year, are they doing the best like box office achievement?
They are, yeah.
Yeah. So like they have an eye out to try and get eyeballs on their show. And so, no offense to Miss Fernanda Torres, but Kate Winslet would definitely bring that more so, even just in the conversation among the industry about, oh, what does this mean? So right now I have Winslet in there. I don't begrudge anybody for putting Torres in there. And I also want to admit, I want to say that if Winslet does not get in here, I don't think that means that she's out of the race completely going forward, because as we saw with the Riseborough campaign, that thing can escalate really quickly.
And none of the people voting here are voting at the Oscars.
Exactly.
It's a completely different.
But I think that this is definitely this is the bellwether. This is okay. Where are we? This is kind of like when First Man won visual effects. And this was coming after Ex Machina beating Star Wars, The Force Awakens. It's like, okay, where are we with this category? And when First Man won up against Avengers Infinity War, we kind of got a sense of like, okay, where is the Academy in this specific branch, in this specific category? And that, I think, paved the way for a lot of us predicting 1917 the following year. I don't think that was a guaranteed visual effects winner, but because we knew what they liked and their sensibilities, it influenced us going forward to this day. So it's sometimes harder in that category when Dune and Avatar are not in contention.
Yeah,
the two of them are
sure.
in contention. Those categories will be easy. But
yeah,
yes, that's where I feel with Kate Winslet. Again, I don't fault you for Torres. If Torres has happened, I will not be surprised. But I'm going to go Winslet in a baby girl-esque move to try and make it interesting. Make sure we don't have to say
Yeah, Golden Globes definitely do some interesting stuff, and it is a good argument. 5 wins and 12 nominations. It really depends on how much of the old Golden Globes are left inside of there. And it's not a great critically reviewed film. It's not a greatly seen film, but she is Kate Winslet, and they do still, I feel like, based on last, it's hard to base off of anything based off last year. I feel like, I don't know, they might go for it, but it's up in the air. But we'll see.
I feel like at one point, like not Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Lawrence was supposed to play this character, or maybe play this character for a different director. I gotta research that. But also, I know this is ridiculous for somebody who's won 5, and like it's me saying, oh, they should have won one more. The fact that one of those 5 was not for Titanic is ridiculous. I'm just gonna.
That is insane.
I need to state that.
Yeah. She was too young. It was her breakout.
I guess.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't her breakout. She did Sense and Sensibility.
No, I know.
And got nominated for it. So that was
a
Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah. Who knows? But let's see. Actor drama should be a much easier 6, in my opinion. This feels very easy to me, kind of like actor at the Oscars. Adrian Brody is getting in there. He's probably going to win for The Brutus. Ray Fiennes for Conclave. Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. That top 4 is going to get in pretty much everywhere. Daniel Craig for Queer. Because it's more critically minded body, and he is Daniel Craig, he's got both like the critic favorite and the star power favorite going for him. I feel like he'll get in. And then Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. I feel like because it's a more international voting body, I do think that film is doing better internationally than it is maybe domestically in terms of how it's appreciated. And I feel like that appeals more to critics, and it's a hot topic kind of thing. So who knows? And looking at the other alternatives, Nicholas Hoult for Juror Number 2. I don't know about that. If they really wanted to go and do a complete like critic pick, they could do Keith Kupferer for Ghostlight, who has been doing well with critics and all that stuff. They could also do, as some people are mentioning, as you mentioned much earlier on in the season, Cillian Murphy for Small Things Like These could potentially get in because he did win a Golden Globe last year. So who knows? An afterglow.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen the movie and I forgot that like he was.
Okay, so maybe not. Maybe not.
I think that movie's too small profile. By the way, I looked it up. Steven Spielberg was going to direct Jennifer Lawrence in a biopic about a different war photographer whose name starts with Lindsay Addario. So that's what I was getting confused with Lee Miller. Listen, I agree with your top 5, as I think every sensible person should. I think the 6th, Sebastian Stan, I think your argument about the international voters definitely helps it more. I think Americans are not touching this movie. And so personally, I have Nicholas Hoult in there. I think Juror Number Two is on the rise. It's doing well on digital, and I think Warner Brothers is starting to realize that this is a contender. So I have that at number 6 right now. I would not be surprised if Sebastian Stan gets in there, but I also think it's the type of movie that I just don't think people want to acknowledge. And also, he's going to be taken care of in actor, comedy, or musical. I feel like that's a place where they could honor him for a different man. So if they want to honor Sebastian Stan, it's not like this is the only place they have to.
That's true. That's true. And although also being mentioned, Kingsley Ben-Adir is on lots of people mentioning him as a possibility for Bob Marley One Love. Apparently, Paramount is trying to push for that, but right now it just seems like people talking about that more than it happening. For in my opinion, people saying, "Oh, this could happen." So if it does happen, then I'll take it seriously. But for right now, especially for like a critics voting body, I'd see that maybe more for like SAG, that appealing to them. But for a critics voting body, that wasn't the best reviewed film. So I'm not going to go for that. I could drop Sebastian Stan, but I probably would go for Nicholas Hoult. I don't know. I feel like that it is well liked by critics. The whole rollout for it has me questioning it overall, but we'll see. That 6 spot's definitely up in the air. Now moving on, picture, comedy, or musical. This 6 feels, I went with the easy 6 here in my opinion. So Honora, that's up front. Emilia Perez is pretty safe. A Real Pain is safe as well. Wicked, I should probably have a little bit higher, but I feel like given it's a more criticky group, I don't know. Substance, I feel like criticky, international, all that stuff that'll get in there. And same with Challengers. I feel like that 6 is the only one I could potentially see sneaking in. Is maybe A Different Man. If they do really like it, it did just win at the Gotham Awards Best Feature. It's liked by critics overall, so it could sneak in there, but I feel like Challengers is still stronger. So I feel like that's a pretty easy top 6 in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is between Nora and Wicked, and I really can't call it at this point. I want to see the overall package for both of those, particularly in director. I'm really interested to see if Corley Farge or John M. Chu can sneak in. Right now, I don't know if I have either. So if one of them or both of them are able to sneak in, then that will really excite this race. But yeah, I think the other 4 are pretty sure. I just think A Different Man and A Saturday Night are just a little bit just too small. I think the other movies have a lot more going for it in a lot of other categories that I feel pretty confident in this 6.
Yeah, yes, me as well. And it's also worth mentioning Hitman, which we'll get to in a second, could sneak in and do something. It's definitely possible. But that 6 feels I just feel like nothing else is strong enough to beat that. But who knows? We'll see. Actress, comedy, or musical. Interesting number 1 here. We're talking nominations, so we'll talk about wins another day. But I do quickly want to say Demi Moore, I think, is really contending for a win here, especially if they like The Substance as much as I suspect they will. Because you look at the other options, with I think the other 2 frontrunners here would be Maggie Madison for Nora and Carla Sofia Gascon. And I kind of feel in a way like if you look at the different thirds of the HFPA, you've got the previous third of the older voting body that like more of the star power and all that stuff, and you've got the new 2/3, which are more international, more criticky. And I feel like she has the star power and narrative and campaigning that the old HFPA members like would totally go crazy about, and they're 1/3 of the body, and then the remaining 2/3 I think will like The Substance as a film and also like her narrative. And I feel like Madison and Gascon don't have either that star power or that narrative. So I feel like she could maybe win, but we'll see. That's a conversation for down the road. I feel like everyone else here, Mikey Madison is probably the front runner to win, probably will. For Honora, Carlos V. Gascon for Emilia Perez, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked could maybe win. I don't know if she would win here, because I feel like given the fact that they went with Poor Things over Barbie, I think is a little bit of a precedent last year to kind of think what their taste might be. And I feel like Wicked would be more embraced by other voting bodies than it would here. Zendaya for Challengers, I also have that in comedy musical picture, so it would make sense to have her in here. And then I was really torn up between this last spot with June Squibb for Thelma and Amy Adams for Night Bitch. I went with June Squibb for Thelma because that feels more like a new Globesy thing to do than Amy Adams for Night Bitch, but Amy Adams is Amy Adams. She's obviously a huge star. It's a well-liked film still critically. I mean, she just got in at the Film Independent Spirit Awards in their top 10 for Best Lead Performance. So I could go with that, but I don't know, something about June Squibb just makes sense to me. And it's also like, I really need her to be nominated somewhere this entire award season. So I'm manifesting it, but it's really between those 2 for the last spot, in my opinion. Or who knows, maybe they don't love Challengers as much as we thought, and it's Squibb and Adams, but that's what I'm going with for now. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I could make an argument for that top four to win. All of them have bona
Yeah.
fides that are supporting them, so that is just too close to call. I think it depends again on how much they like the films themselves rather than the individual performers. And then other than that, I think Amy Adams is quite strong. I think Night Bitch is, Marielle Heller. She's kind of proven herself on the independent circuit. I don't think that speaks to like old globes as much. I feel like this isn't like Amy Adams in a popular. This isn't Enchanted. This is an independent film. From Searchlight Pictures. I think that sort of fits the vibe of the new globes as much as Thelma does. And Night Bitch has the benefit of opening like in the fall season. It's opening this weekend actually. I'm seeing it on Sunday. So if there are any screenings in anticipation of that, the question is when like the voting happened, because I know Amy Adams is on Fallon this week. That might have hit at the right time. I feel good about her. I think Zendaya is being helped too by Doom Part 2. So I'd be pretty shocked if she was able to miss it. If Challenges is getting into picture, I would be pretty shocked if she missed, because she's excellent in Challenges and she's only supported by the other movie. I mean, she's doing double features of both of her contenders this year. I'd be pretty surprised if she missed. So I have Amy Adams in there, but again, June Squibb, wouldn't be surprised, and she's lovely. So it would definitely be a welcome nomination.
Yeah. Yes. So that's actor comedy musical. I'm sticking with Glenn Powell winning for Hitman, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe it can be Sebastian Stan for A Different Man, because I feel like that appeals more to critics than Hitman, and I just also feel like maybe they want to award him for this year overall. But we'll see. I'm still sticking with Glenn Powell, the star power side of him, and it's a well-liked film critically too, so that's a good balance. It's between those two for the win, in my opinion. Jesse Eisenberg for Real Pain. He'll get nominated. I just feel like he's more campaigning for sure this year as a writer-director than as an actor. And Kieran Culkin is stealing all of the spotlight, even though I think they're equally good performances. Hugh Grant for Heretic makes sense. He's it's a well-liked film critically, and he's got the star power. Jesse Plemons for Kinds of Kindness. These last two spots are up in the air for me, in my opinion. Jesse Plemons for Kinds of Kindness, I'm going with, as I continue to say, the new body, the new 2/3 of the body having different tastes than the last previous versions of the Golden Globe, so I'm going with Jesse Plemons for Kind of Kindness. I feel like that he's the acting standout of the film. He won at Cannes, I believe, Best Actor, so that's possible. And then Isaac Wang for Dee Dee. I just think sometimes they like giving these last spots to younger actors. I feel like he's great in the film, and since they don't have like a young performer slot, I feel like they could just give it to him, especially because Saturday Night I feel like is kind of dead, and it's not well loved critically or internationally. That's a very domestic American film. This is an international voting body, and it's also not loved critically, and he's not a star, so he really doesn't have a ton going for him. He could still get in, obviously, but Michael Keaton for Beetlejuice, maybe. I'm kind of tempted to just do that instead in one of those last two spots because he is Michael Keaton, but I don't know. That feels more like an old Globes thing than a new Globes thing, in my opinion, but we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said as far as Michael Keaton goes. I agree with you with Hugh Grant and Heretic. I have him in there. I have Gabriel LaBelle in there because as much as the international component is there, we're forgetting that the Golden Globes is also known for honoring television. They have their eye for that. And Saturday Night Live is one of the most iconic television shows, regardless of where you are in the world. It might not get watched at the same level as it does domestically, but people know what it is. And so I think that Gabriel LaBelle, people remember him for playing young Steven Spielberg. I think he proved himself there. And he is exceptional on Saturday night. And I think that, I trust this HFPA that they're watching these contenders more than maybe the previous HFPA. And so I think that this is a way to honor that movie if it's not going to get into picture, that they can, give it some love here. So I just, as much as I maybe even like Isaac Wong would be higher on my list than others. I might actually give it to him out of these 8 people. He might be my favorite performance.
He's very good. Yeah.
So I would love to see him there. But I think the conventional wisdom is Eisenberg, Powell, LaBelle, Plemons, Grant, and Stan. I agree. Keaton feels a little bizarre given the makeup of the HFPA now, but who knows? I mean, it is one of the most popular films of the year, one of the most iconic characters of his career, and so. You never know, but I'm going to lean on some of the more, the films with more tonier aspirations, the Hugh Grants, the Gabriel LaBelles.
It's not a huge role either.
Yeah, yes, that's true. It's support. Yeah, it probably has the least amount of screen time as of any of these contenders as well. But I mean, that's the strength of Michael Keaton in that role, is that you feel him even when he's not on screen. And the whole world, the atmosphere, kind of, so he's kind of there in the production design even when he's not on screen. I have Jesse Eisenberg winning because I'm starting
Interesting.
to get behind A Real Pain. I think the AFI that AFI top 10 is very alluring, and I have to try. I'm
It
trying to tell
is.
myself
Yeah.
that there's always a surprise, but I don't know.
That's the top 10 we had in our picture video last
Yeah,
time.
I'm starting to believe that might be it. And so I do think that Eisenberg, and in a crazy year where we're really trying to find that fifth spot, he could be that fifth spot in actor, because I do think what they're going to respond to, and what I think people will respect, is that this is an actor. He's very popular. I mean, coming off of Zombieland and The Social Network, he had his little foray into DC, but he's a popular actor. Now You See Me, and he wanted to be known as a writer director. He wanted the respect that comes with that. And I think with this film, even though it wasn't my favorite, I think enough people believe that he has earned that. And I think he will get this award as honoring what he has achieved now in this new leg of his career. So I have him winning at number one. I just think that A Real Pain is a movie they're going to get behind more than Hitman. I think Glenn Powell has a chance to win here, but I don't think it's something that carries over into the Oscars. I really think that, Glenn Powell is Jennifer Lopez. It's going to happen here, or it's not going to happen anywhere.
Yeah. If he doesn't win here, then he's totally I'm totally dropping him for my Golden Globes SAG Critics' Choice to Oscars path. But I can't agree with you. If they do really like A Real Pain, and I think we'll get to in the later categories, they can't really honor him with screenplay. If they want to honor other films, I could see this being where they're like, well, he did a great job, so and the competition's not great.
I also think for people being like, well, they have another place to award A Real Pain, I don't think supporting actor is happening. It might, but
I've got someone else there. Yes.
Right now, I'm thinking it's not going to happen. So this would be the one award for A Real Pain, which is going to get 2 acting noms. It's going to get in for picture at least. So there's definitely going to be support for the film, and it has a great distributor behind it. So I have Jesse Eisenberg winning here. Though again, a lot of these are like, I won't be surprised, but this is how I'm feeling. This is the vibe.
It's the Golden Globes. We'll never be too surprised, honestly. But yeah, also if Ryan Reynolds gets in for Deadpool, that would be insane. Recent actors on actors for somehow talker. So we'll see.
Remember,
now
sometimes with those actors on actors, they want you to watch, like they want to bring attention.
That's entirely what it is. Look at they don't have Marianne Jean-Baptiste, they don't have Anjanou Ellis-Taylor, they don't have Fernanda Torres. They're completely doing it for clicks.
Yeah,
More
remember Taylor Swift and Martin McDonough on directors on directors. Just take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, for sure. Supporting actress. This was a tricky one for me. Those are the top 2, obviously, with Zoe Saldana and Ariana Grande.
I think those are the top 3.
Yes, I agree, honestly. Isabella Rossellini, people doubted her early on. I feel like she's she's campaigning really hard. And Conclave is, I think, going to be a top-tier Best Picture contender. And she's Hollywood royalty, and she's got one big moment. I feel pretty good.
She's just cinema royalty. I mean, her father being, such an important figure of Italian cinema. But I just think that she also represents an older demographic that I think is. We have a lot of young people. I mean, even look at the people that you have in your runners-up: Felicity Jones, Selena Gomez, Saoirse Ronan. I think Isabella Rossellini kind of fits the mold.
She's the only veteran.
And so Kathy Bates and Richard Jewell. She's surprised. But when you look at the makeup of the category, it's like it was a lot of I understand.
Same as Benning last year.
Yes, yes, for sure. I know in that year the. Richard Jewell year, you had Zhao Shuzhen, who was also in there. So there were other places they could have went. But yeah, I think Isabella Rossellini makes perfect sense given that Conclave is doing well. It's competitive to win Best Picture for the drama category. So yeah, I definitely think that's your top 3. I'm really interested to see what happens here because, of course, as I've said before, the Golden Globes gave Angela Bassett Best Supporting Actress for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
They did. But that wasn't this Golden Globes.
Well, I think it was. It was 2022. It was after they went away in 2021.
No, their body changed in April 2023 is when they added the new members. Last year's the only thing.
But I think that I look at there was the Globes before they went away. The year they went away when they didn't even have the live ceremony was the year that Rachel Zegler. It was the West Side Story being the Ricardos when Nicole Kidman last won. And when they came back, it was a big thing. Like, we're coming back. Gerard Carmichael was the host, and Angela Bassett won. And so I think that Ariana Grande is not that crazy, especially given that it seems that people are starting to believe in this more and more. And it might not even be this sort of like underdog thing. She might win this and just run the table. SAG, like Critics' Choice, Ariana Grande just might be inevitable. And we're kind of like in the last stage of us trying to talk ourselves out of it. For those who want to talk themselves out of it, I think she's remarkable and deserving.
She's great, yeah.
And so, but I definitely, Zoe Saldana definitely, especially with the Golden Globes, who, as we've been saying, are a little bit more independently minded. At least now, we're going to find out. She did very well. So I think this is one of the toughest races to call right now. And yeah, as far as your other three, it's really
tricky. It's tricky. One thing that I'm really sensing right now is I'm really sensing the Brulis is not going to go, as it continues to screen, not going to be nearly as beloved as maybe people thought. I think it'll be well liked, but I don't think it'll be like a lot. I think it'll be a little divisive, and I'm sensing in a lot of these places that Felicity Jones might end up missing, especially because it seems like she's only in the second half of the film, and that's the half of the film people don't like as much. And I'm also, from what I'm reading, not everyone loves the performance. And it seems like Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody are like, they're getting in places and she's not. So I don't know. I'm sensing that this might be the beginning.
Emily Blunt.
But is Felicity Jones as well liked as Emily Blunt?
You were the one who was attacking me all last year when I brought up Emily Blunt and how great she was.
I know.
And so I think that it's fair that we can
I haven't seen it.
Two of them, the two men, frankly, the same thing that Oppenheimer on the higher pedestal, the pedestal of people who are more likely to win. And then Felicity Jones just gets in there as the more, the cold, standoffish woman. But she gets in there because, she is an Academy Award nominated actress for The Theory of Everything. And so, when she's going up against people like Selena Gomez and Ariana Grande, like, she at least has that level of support from a past nomination. She was also nominated for the Globes for that performance. And so I have her in there. And I also, I'm really torn with Selena Gomez because I think that, she's remarkable in the film. And I'm not vibing the Margaret Qualley nomination. I just think, what's the scene? Everybody talks about with Demi Moore, not only does she have the legacy to stand on and the she starts the movie, which I think is really pivotal for getting her that nomination, but she has the one scene in front of the bathroom mirror. What is the one scene that Margaret Qualley has that makes people go, yes, nominated? Because I do think what's starting to worry me is that The Substance was doing well, and then it faltered, and then it came back, and then it might be faltering again. And Qualley would definitely be the telltale sign of that. If she got in, then no, we're not taking it. It's not peaking yet. It's doing very well, but I don't see Qualley happening. So right now I have Grande, Saldana, Jones, Rossellini, then Jones, Deadweiler, and then I think that last spot is between Gomez and Anjanou Ellis-Taylor. And I'm really that is really close for me.
You have Nickel Boys in Drama Picture, right?
I do, and
then I think it's very rare for a film to just get picture without anything else. I feel like
it might not doing it. I'm predicting it for.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, that logic, you've talked me. I will put Anjanou Ellis-Taylor instead of Selena Gomez, because I also think Selena Gomez might be taken care of in the television side, but maybe not. She might.
Maybe, but it's also just not it's not the most liked performance. It's the most divisive performance of the three, especially with critics. And I feel like, once again, this is a body composed of mostly critics. So we'll see. I do feel like Qualley really depends on how much they like The Substance. Right now, I'm betting on them liking The Substance here. I still don't think The Substance is going to be like a picture Oscar contender, but here I think they're going to like it. Especially, we'll get to it in a different category. I don't want to tease too much, but the one I'm worried about, I should have her a little lower, is Danielle Deadweiler. I do still think, because this is not, I don't think she'll get it at the Oscars still, but I think because there's an extra spot. And they didn't give her a nomination for Till last time, I'm pretty sure. So I feel like maybe they'll want to give it to her for this. And since so she's campaigning, and it's a more criticky kind of thing for them to go for her. But if I were trying to be completely, I should find room for Felicity Jones, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm just sensing something there.
The spot that she could have had went to Olivia Colman in Empire of Light.
Okay. Wow. That's
yeah.
The old Golden Globes.
Viola Davis did get in for The Woman King, so that was crazy. So that meant the musical comedy was Nope. Who was in the musical comedy category that year? That's crazy. Oh,
Everything
Michelle
everywhere.
Yeoh,
Yeah.
Lee Manville, Margot Robbie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Emma Thompson. Okay.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting stuff. But yeah, and in terms of the top two there, I'm still sticking with Saldana right now. But every day that passes, I'm like, maybe it'll just be Ariana Grande because Wicked does continue to seem
I have
stronger.
I have Ariana at number one. And I think Anjanu Ellis Taylor, you have sound reason there, so I will put her in at number 6. I feel like this whole you're going to have to do a supercut of all the times that you talked me into Nickel Boys. I really hope
Yeah. Yeah.
if that proves not to be the
It
case,
better work out. Yeah. Yeah. I think it will. I think it will. I'm feeling pretty good about it. It made it in the AFI. I feel pretty safe.
And then
Yeah.
to Nathan Mitchell's point, I think right now, A Complete Unknown, between the MBR picking Elle Fanning, but also a lot of support for Monica Barbaro.
They'll
I just
split.
think I think what's likely is that they will split, but if there's going to be a contender among them, let's just wait and see. I think it's too close between them to call that one. But I think it's very likely that, Daniel Deadweiler, Anjanu Ellis Taylor, Felicity Jones, one of them could miss out for either Selena Gomez or one of the actors from A Complete Unknown. This is going to be one of the big first stops for A Complete Unknown. This and then Critics' Choice. So we're going to get a sense of how that movie's performing, what awards voters are responding to it. What type of awards voter. If it's able to do well with both, then I think we need to start taking Timothy very seriously.
For sure. Yeah, I think he's definitely contending for the win. More though, it's the top 3 there for sure. I think Brody's out front, but we'll see. But yeah, it seems like most of chat thinks Ariana is winning. So I don't know. I'm just sticking for right now. Saldana is more of like an industry veteran, and this is more of like a welcome to the club. But I mean, Jennifer Hudson won her first time, Ariana DeBose. So we'll see. We'll see for sure. It's close. And I do think it's also close in terms of the quality of the performances. So,
and as I've said, I think
we'll
Saldana's performance does not evoke the narrative of the musical supporting actress trend that DeBose, that Hudson, that the Hathaway, that those women have succeeded within, and that I think Grande fits that mold better.
She does, for sure.
And as I said, I think that the Zoe Saldana thing reminds me a lot of Michael Keaton, of Colin Farrell. Like they've had impressive careers, but they've never been nominated before. And so the win is the nomination, but they were more delighted and distracted by Ariana Grande. I think that the idea that Grande has proven herself, or that Saldana has proven herself for the last 20 years, and that's what's going to get her the win. I just don't think that, especially the Golden Globes voters, I mean, especially with this new voting group, do they really care about Guardians of the Galaxy and Avatar enough to distract away from what everybody is talking about, which is Ariana Grande and Wicked? Especially
which film did they like more too?
And if Wicked's not going to do anything else, I do think they're going to want to give Wicked something, and this is the one that I think Wicked probably will get. It was the most likely to win. So I think everybody is going to be very comfortable with Wicked winning this and the costume and production design. Whether it wins more, we shall see. But I think people are already and resigning has a negative connotation, but I think people are just accepting Ariana Grande. Like, she's proven herself. We've gotten over that hurdle. Can she do it? Well, she has.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning. This is a good point. Wicked is significantly weaker internationally than it is domestically, and this is an international voting body. But I don't know.
They're the Hollywood Foreign Press, so these international voters still know what's popular in Hollywood.
Yes, they do. They do, and
they're not that devoid of what's going on to the point that Wicked can't win supporting actor.
No. And I do also. I'm worried with supporting both the supporting categories. I've got at the Oscars all of my 5 in both of them being in Best Picture films, and that never happens. So that's why I'm kind of like, do I just put Daniel Deadweiler back in there?
You don't have Daniel Deadweiler in your
Oscar 5? No. But she's like the only option I can see for that. So I'm like, I don't know.
Gladiator 2 back in picture. That means?
Oh no, I don't. Never mind. So there we go. Denzel. There we go. That's fixed. You fixed it for me. There we go. I don't need to worry anymore. Speaking of supporting actor, great transition there. I'm starting to think Clarence Macklin is going to win for Sing Sing, in my opinion. I feel like he's got the best narrative of anyone here. He just needs to give one speech, which he did at the Gotham Awards, but that's not like extremely seen. The Gotham Awards are very good at kicking off winners in this category in particular. Just look at Troy Kotsur, Ki Kwan, but they just need him. The story behind him in this film is just undeniably, I think, much stronger than anyone else here. And I feel like he just needs to give one speech, and then they're like, he's going to go all the way. I feel like that, especially because Sing Sing is proving to be much stronger, even though it didn't do great at the box office. We were like, is anyone seeing this film? It's one of only like 5 films, I'm pretty sure, that has hit everything so far with like NBR, AFI, all that stuff. So I think it's stronger than we expected. It's stronger than some of these other films here, I would say. So I'm going with him for the win right now. I don't believe in Culkin and I don't believe in Pierce. Neither of them feel right to me. And none of the other ones are going to be winners.
Brutalist yet? I forget.
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Come back to me because I think he's winning.
Okay, you think he's here too? You think he's winning?
I think he's winning. I think this is going to be the start of his run. I think that The Brutalist is going to be the most seen, I feel like, of this 6, because I think it's one of the movies in contention for Best Picture.
Besides Gladiator, yeah.
Yeah, but Gladiator, I'm choosing to it. Like, no offense, Mr. Washington, you're fantastic. I think you deserve awards for reading the newspaper, but that performance confounds me that people think that that's a supporting actor performance of the year.
He's good.
He's good, but like there are a lot of people who are good. Hugh Jackman was good in Deadpool and Wolverine, but you don't see me here banging the drum for Hugh Jackman. So yeah, I mean, Hugh Grant did a Jar Jar Binks voice in Heretic. You know, it's like this is like that's it's like you don't see me going crazy for that. I know he's going to get in, but you know that's also a comedy actor, so you know it's has a little bit more space. But yeah, so I think when Brutalist starts to debut and people see it, and they I just think you can sink your teeth into that character. I feel like Kieran Culkin, Clarence Macklin, of course, they're playing themselves. And it's not that that's bad because, listen, if you're playing yourself, you're still acting. And that is definitely, you know, it's no less of a feat. But I think what Guy Pearce is doing is I think you'll remember him. That character will stay with you. I didn't even like the movie that much. I've been warming to it the last couple of months. The more I think about it, I'm excited to see it again. But like, even like since seeing it, like that character has stayed with me, certain scenes, certain imagery that's associated with them. And I just think that he has that sort of this is the difference between Saldana and Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce is the sort of actor who's been working for a long time, but in independent films and in these movies that have gotten in awards contention, like multiple movies that have won Best Picture that have had Guy Pearce in them where he hasn't been nominated. There's a difference between that and Saldana, and that's why I think he will benefit because of that. And yeah, I just think he also plays like this sort of like, you know, very, very like big bravado character. I mean, the first time he comes into the movie, he's yelling and it's somehow scary and comedic. I just think this is a character that I think is going to really capture the voters. And it's a way to give Brutalist something if Conclave is going to be the movie that does well in other categories. And so, yeah, I have Guy Pearce winning, and I have him pretty far out. If Kieran Culkin wins, I just think it's because they love him and they're really warm.
You can just sweep.
But I'm not buying it. I'm going to get behind Guy Pearce.
Yeah, I'm not buying Culkin either. I mean, I obviously see the world where he just sweeps because he's doing well so far and he's well liked. There's something about that performance where it's like if you've seen Succession or if you've seen his other films, it's like it's good, but it's like I'm not that surprised by this performance. You're doing what I expect you to do. So we'll see how that goes. That top 4 I feel very good about. Yuri Borisov for Anora is really possible for the Oscars. I'm still not doing it, but here I feel like with a more criticky body, I think they'll like Anora more. And
people keep saying this is going to happen, and I just don't see it because I don't see it.
I don't think it's happening at the Oscars.
But I don't just listen. I think he's fantastic, and he is crucial to the most powerful scene in Anora working as well as it does. But he would have to jump his co-stars, and he
already has.
I guess, but it's so hard for me to think that he's that far ahead of his co-stars that he will then beat them to then get into the race. And yeah, I just don't know. I feel like, you know, you look at like, you know, if we're talking about a complete unknown, I think Edward Norton is definitely in contention here. I have him high up at number 3. I also think I agree with some of our commenters. Stanley Tucci, how can you not have him in your top 9? I think that,
that's just nothing to me, that performance.
And he kind of fades in the second half of the movie, but he has enough scenes in there, and he's Stanley Tucci that I think he gets in. So, especially over
him in here.
I think Iris Dickinson, you're going with your argument that if Baby
I'm going with it. It's in picture, and it's a critic film, and he's one of the 2 most important parts of it.
Yeah, I again, it's possible, but I just think I don't know. Stanley Tucci feels like more conventional something that it's more likely it happens at this point.
But he's
As
I just feel like
ever,
he doesn't really do much. Like his performance is nothing, and I feel like they're not going to go for nothing. But maybe old Golden Globes would go for that, but right now, like the critic Golden Globes, I don't think that they're going to go for that
it's
much
soft
more.
spoken. I wouldn't say it's nothing. I think that you see in certain scenes, like what he wants to be, and then when he's confronted with it, like he's the scene when he's lighting the candles, like who he really is. I think there's some nuance to that
Nope.
performance, and I think it's
Yeah.
more about Stanley Tucci than it is about and Conclave, it being a coattail thing with Conclave, than Stanley Tucci being on his own.
Mhm.
So I'm torn. I mean, it's just that this category is so all over the place. I mean, Jeremy Strong could get in there. Josh O'Connor could get in there if Challengers is a picture. This is the one of the places where it'll be get in for picture.
I was very tempted to put
I just,
Josh O'Connor in
I
there.
really,
I
I
very
feel good about Guy Pearce and Kieran Culkin and Denzel Washington, and that's about it. That's
and
as far
Clarence
as
Macklin. I feel like he's safe
yeah. But even
at
then,
this
if he
point.
misses, I wouldn't be that surprised. But yes, I think
I would.
Clarence Macklin as well. But I just right now, I just it's one of the few categories where I'm more confident in the win than I am in the and who's getting nominated.
Fair. I feel pretty good about Macklin. I do think Mark he's my favorite too, but I feel like we're in the minority with that. It seems like most people are going for
I
Euro.
know that and Blitz. Somebody's gonna have to explain to me what the I almost cursed. What the hell happened?
I like Karen Karagulian honestly more than Euro. Euro is great, but I think Karen Karagulian is very funny as well. So I don't know. It seems like it's something
It's
that's
just that
happening,
Yura has the arc. Yura has
and he
change
has the moment.
in the character.
Yeah,
And he has the scene, but he's more of a human. But again, all the people who were like banging the drum for Dominic Sessa, who I think rightfully deserved.
yeah.
Where are you for Mark Eidelstein? He is so good in this movie.
He's great.
Oh,
He's
God.
great. But I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. And I'll just defend Harris Dickinson and Baby Girl. Well, it's because I have it in picture, and I think they're going to like the film overall. And I think most of you guys haven't seen it. Most of you guys don't know how incredible he is in this. This is his best performance thus far. He's just as crucial to it working as Nicole Kidman is. He hasn't really gotten any nominations yet, so it probably won't happen. But I like to do something different. Edward Norton would make sense, but I feel like A Complete Unknown is going to not do as well here as it will other places because this is more a critic-minded body, and I don't think it's going to be as seen, kind of like Color Purple last year. And Josh O'Connor, if I was being realistic, I'm really tempted to put him at number 6 because Challengers is in picture. I think he is considered by most people to be the best performance in the film. He's great in it. He's having a great year. So I was tempted, but I didn't do it.
I will say though, The Color Purple proved to not be as widely beloved as certainly the audience
No.
I was in when I went to the premiere, and it was like everybody was like going crazy, but Oprah was in the room, so I think that had a lot to do with it too.
Those premieres, yeah.
And then when it came out, it kind of like fizzled. It had a great Christmas Day and then fizzled. I don't think that's going to happen with Complete Unknown. I think Timothy Chalamet's fandom alone will not let that happen. So I just don't see a world where like Color Purple and like they're completely different movies. Like Complete Unknown is like it's an independent movie. It just with the biggest movie star of our time in it. It's a Searchlight Pictures film. This isn't even like a main studio movie. So I think that has higher places to climb than Color Purple ended up doing, because Color Purple
it does.
Fell.
It does. I just used it as maybe it's not as. I don't think it's. I think it will be much more liked. I just am worried. Maybe it's. I think Color Purple. The issue here is maybe it wasn't as seen because it was a Christmas release. But I do also want to mention. Oh, what?
This app's comment is correct.
It is, yeah. He's got a great interview coming up with Drew Starkey, and I think many people will be in attendance to watch. But I do want to bring up Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. If they do like that film more than expected, he's great in it. And I think he could be a criticky kind of pick. And he's well liked. He's won Golden Globes on the TV side over there. So who knows? It's possible. Why Denzel safe? Because he is Denzel. I think that's why he is safe. He got in for Roman J. Israel, so I don't feel too nervous about that. So that is that. Let's move on to Best Director. This is interesting. 6 spots here. Brady Corbett. I mean, we can talk about the safe ones. Brady Corbett, I think, especially here, seems like the kind of winner that they'd go for. Sean Baker, Jack Audiard, Edward Berger. Those 4 feel pretty safe here to me. Denis could miss, but he got in for the first one, so I don't know why he wouldn't get in here for the second one, and it's considering it did better and it's more well-liked than the first one. Then that 6th spot, if you look at the Golden Globes past, they go out of their way much more than any other body, it seems like, besides Critics' Choice, but any other more serious, but not that this is a serious body either, but any of these other major bodies to go for women in Best Director. Because what was that one COVID year? I think they had like 3 women in Best Director.
They had Emerald Fennell, Regina
Regina
King,
King.
so they had
Yeah.
3, and then the Oscars omitted Regina King and put in Thomas
They did
Vinterberg,
Wake
which,
last year.
you know, frankly, I love that nomination, so I
It
wasn't
was a
sure.
great nomination.
But,
Yeah, but they go out for that.
I mean, they did not nominate Greta Gerwig for director or Jordan
They
Peele
did.
this year. So, you know, but
Oh,
they have
last
an,
year
they have an eye, and I Barbara Streisand going way back. You know, so they've had an eye for female directors, which is why I'm really torn, because I think I agree with your top 4, and I
Okay.
agree with your top 1. I think that Brady Corbett is positioning himself to win director.
Even if it's not winning, I don't have it winning picture drama, but plenty of directors at the Golden Globes win director without their film winning in picture here.
So what I'm torn with is that I agree with you on they do have an eye for female filmmakers, and they also are. This is going to be one of the voting bodies that I think embraces the substance, because they have a lot of categories where they have 6 nominees. I think it's what's more possible is that gets screenplay, a nomination in screenplay, because that is also the award of one at Cannes. And I have Ramel Ross in, because I think that's going to be seen as more a directorial achievement. So
I want to have him in there.
You know,
he should win.
And I think he might sneak into our Oscar 5. I feel like
I've had him in the Oscar 5. He's the director's branch. That is the kind of film, having seen it, that they will eat up. It is. I have him. He's very safe in my opinion for the Oscar 5. I just look here. His comparison, in my opinion, is Jonathan Glazer last year. It's very similar in the style of film that I think lots of people consider it a directing achievement, but will put off some people. And last year they went for Zone of Interest here, but they didn't go for Glazer. But the Oscars and other places ended up going for Glazer. So I'm sticking with Ross missing here. I'd love to see him get in. I'd like to see him win, honestly. But who knows? Maybe Denis could miss, and we can have Fargiat and Ross. But right now, I'm comparing him to Jonathan Glazer. I'm like, I'm going to have you in at other places down the road, but here, I don't think they're going to embrace you or that film as much. I feel like it's down to those 7. Honestly, Almodovar maybe for Room Next Door, but I feel like that film is pretty weak. And then John M. Chu, some people are doing this for Wicked. Maybe they did do Greta Gerwig for Barbie last year, but I feel like that was Greta Gerwig. I feel like that's different, but who knows? You don't have him in there, so that's me.
I don't, just because I think that I'm really torn. He could. I think that director is really competitive, and I think also the thing that's weighing me is Denis Villeneuve as secure as people think he is, and I don't know if he is, and I'm really torn with that. But yeah, as far as your female director comment, you know, Maggie Gyllenhaal got in for Lost Daughter. But Sarah Polley didn't get in. So you know, they're you know, hit or miss. Greta Gerwig didn't get, and also Greta Gerwig did not get in for Little Women or Lady Bird, and so that might have been like we're catching up with you sort of thing for Barbie. So,
but they didn't have 6 spots that year either. They've got 6 now.
True. I don't know. That would have been interesting.
She would have for one of them.
She probably definitely would have been the 6 in 2019 for Little Women. I wonder if Lady Bird did win Best Picture, musical or comedy, so that she did beat Get Out for picture, so maybe she would have gotten in. That's interesting.
She probably would have.
Though I think Get Out got in. Did Get Out? Did Lady Bird get the screenplay? I know only one of them got screenplay. I forget which one.
I'm not sure. I know Lady Bird won the overall.
Yeah, and it won Best Actor for Saoirse.
Yeah.
I will do. So yeah, I don't have John M. Chu in there just because, again, I think it might be a little bit too mainstream, but I would not be surprised. So yeah, I think this is really, really tough. Right now, I'm going to go with the conventional wisdom that Denis Villeneuve is in for Dune Part 2. With a technical achievement. And then, yeah, I'm going to put Ramel Ross in. I think if Nickel Boys is in for Best Picture, I do think it's going to need we need to see some other places of support. It can't be just a single thing. So I think supporting actors are places that you can look for it to do well. So I'm going to keep that in, but I would not be surprised by Coralie. I would not be surprised by John M. Chu. So that's kind of how I feel.
I agree. I really want Ross in there. He is easily the achievement of the year, but right now he's at the Oscars for sure. I'm doubting it here.
Lady Bird got screenplay, so
She was number
get
6.
out the nod. So in at the Globes.
So yeah, that is what we've got going on here. Also, I guess worth mentioning, someone mentioned it, I forget where, Mohamed Rousseff. Maybe I just feel like that film is kind of falling off, in my opinion, and it's not as well beloved as it would need to be. So we'll see.
I love that we're talking about like the first award show of the season. It's like it's falling off. Like I feel like it has to get on. It can't fall off. Humpty Dumpty can't fall off the wall if he doesn't get on the wall first. Like, and this is where we get on the wall.
It is. We'll see. For sure. Screenplay, I feel pretty good about this. Anora, Brutalist, Conclave, Real Pain, Sing Sing, I feel like are top tier contenders all around the board, especially for this category. That last spot, I went with The Substance. Like you said, that's the award it did win at Cannes. I feel like if she does end up missing director, this is still where she would get in there. And Nickel Boys, I feel like it's a great screenplay. It's a great translation from the book to film, but I feel like it will be seen much more as a directing thing than a screenplay thing. And then these other options, Challengers, it's a great screenplay. Baby Girl, it's a great screenplay, but those are just weaker films. So that 6 feels pretty good.
Yeah, I could see a world where maybe Challenges surprises. But yeah, I think that top 6 is very, very, very alluring. And I think once we get the nominations, I want to go back and I want to see, like, because given that this is one of the few award shows that has just screenplay and doesn't separate it by original and adapted, I'm interested to see which one they kind of favor more. Because that can help us predict the win. Because I mean, I think it's Anora, especially if Brutalist is taken care of in director and the acting categories. But I feel like Conclave has its places, Real Pain has its places. So I think Anora is a pretty.
This is where they will award Sean Baker this year overall in screenplay. Yeah. I don't think he'll win director, but screenplay.
Like Belfast, like this was the one you can count on for Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, pretty safe. These final categories that they do here: original score. They've got 6 here. The Brutalist, Conclave are safe pretty much everywhere for score. Dune Part 2, I'm pretty sure is going to be eligible here because they don't have the same rules, and it's Hans Zimmer and it's Dune. I feel pretty good about that. Challengers, great score, one of the best of the year. I think they'll go for it because they have it in picture, comedy, musical. So why wouldn't they do it here? Room Next Door, Alberto Iglesias. He's gotten in here before. I think at times that he even ended up missing the Oscars. So he's well liked here. It's a more international criticky pick. It's a great score too. So that makes sense. And Wild Robot, they go for animated films here, even when the Oscars don't end up doing it. I think they did both Boy and Heron and Spider-Verse last year. And Wild Robot has a very good, it's a conventional score, but it's a very emotional score. It makes sense to me. Emilia Perez, I don't know. Nothing about that score stands out to me looking back on it and on rewatch. It's like, I don't know, maybe.
I can't remember the score independent from the songs.
Me either.
But, sometimes it's a coattail thing. The musical just gets in both. So I think that and Room Next Door, I think, are on the bubble for 6 for me. Gold Derby has Wicked as one of the options. And
is it original?
No, it's not.
Okay.
That's
what I'm. Yeah.
I've seen that show many a time, and a lot of the music cues are identical to what's on stage.
Yeah.
There is original scoring being done, but and I don't think the Golden Globes have the rule that I think the Academy Awards.
It could happen here, but it won't translate to the Oscars.
Rise of Skywalker, where it's like, okay, there's got to be a percentage of original music being composed to be considered, but. I mean, Wicked and score is gonna, because I think Critics' Choice too. Like, that could be a big thing.
Maybe, but I don't think it'll happen at the Oscars.
Yeah, I just don't, because I feel like people, if they're not necessarily like double checking, they might just be like, oh yeah, Wicked score, of course.
Yeah, it's a musical. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think I'm torn with Emilia Perez, but other than that, I agree with your list.
Yeah, this is true. They do like musicals and score a lot. So I probably should have Emilia Perez in there. I'm just like, what was that?
The question is, do you have 2 Emilia Perez songs in Best Song?
Let's see. Original song, I do, yeah. Because there's 6 spots here. What else am I going to put there? El Mal and Mi Camino are pretty safe. I feel like Kiss the Sky from Wild Robot, once again, they go for animated stuff here more than they do at the Oscars. Like a Bird for Sing Sing, I do think as Sing Sing becomes an even bigger contender, I've got that in at the Oscars. It's a great song. I think it'll happen, especially because it's not super competitive. This is a really weird category this year, so it's not super competitive. Harper and Will Go West has like the star power to it. It's Kristen Wiig singing it. It's a fun song. Then Beautiful That Way. It's Miley Cyrus. That's really my only reason. It's Miley Cyrus. It's a catchy song. I don't really know what else I would go for. Forbidden Road for Better Man. I just don't know about Better Man overall. Maybe Ain't No Love in Oklahoma. Twisters. Maybe. But
Do
I don't
you
know.
have Piece by Piece an animated feature?
I don't know.
Okay, so do you have Moana 2?
I do. Yes. We'll get
You
to that in
do.
a second. But yes, yeah. Let's talk about their history there. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I think if Piece by Piece is an animated feature, then I think you can consider it here. I think we should mention it.
Yes.
And I'm really interested to see if the love and admiration for Lin-Manuel Miranda counteracts Mufasa. But and again, this was the previous Globes. They nominated Lion King an animated feature, so they were not adverse to this movie. However,
I feel like
I'm
yeah,
starting
that
to
was them
feel
trying to
like
stick to
Mufasa is
Disney.
about to become Disney's Joker Folie à Deux. So
Barry Jenkins is already trashing on it himself.
already, I'm like,
Personally.
oh boy, we've begun, and it's we're 2 weeks
He's
out.
getting ahead. Yeah. So,
You
and the
know,
songs from the trailer, like the songs from the trailer sound more like they're going to be Little Mermaid Lin songs more than Encanto Lin songs. Like I've always wanted a brother, or however it is.
please
It does
keep
not
singing.
sound
Keep
good.
singing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like in the
Well,
trailer.
we'll
So
get
it's
to
not
2,000 subscribers if you sing.
good. Yeah, I'm sure.
I've done more.
You have.
Yeah. So I will say that I think there's a world where Moana 2, if Moana 2 you have getting into animated feature, then maybe one of the songs gets in.
None
I
of
just
those
think
songs are
they're
good.
pushing like one of the worst songs.
They can't pick the right song though.
Yeah, Disney just doesn't know. Like they keep pushing.
They don't
like
know what they're
one
doing.
songs. Like, no, pick or like
Yeah.
the song that makes you cry. Like I don't like. I remember watching it. It was like when Get Lost comes on. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Yeah. No.
But like the song called Get Lost comes on. It's like, what's this? This is like this is totally different, and this is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was
They
like,
can't
come
pick
on.
it right.
Like I was like, that's the song. That's the one you want to put in. But no, we need the song that is emotional. So I don't
Yes.
know. But yeah, I
Who
think
knows?
Elle is going to win, and I mean, we should prepare for a world where Amelia Perez is just another movie like Barbie and A Star Is Born that wins one category, and that's.
You think we'll lose international too?
Oh well, not counting international. I'm talking about like
It's pretty sick.
categories where it's actually competing against other movies. But yes, international will win. But as far as like the other one, because A Star Is Born and Barbie
They
were
weren't
not
international
categories.
films. No. They were not.
Most of the Best Picture contenders are not. I think this might be the only
Maybe.
category where all the movies are in contention where it wins.
Well, speaking of, oh well, never mind. Speaking of animated feature, I feel like that top 5 is everywhere. That's the top 5 we had for a while. That's pretty locked up in my opinion with Wild Robot, Inside Out 2, Flo, Wallace and Gromit, and Memoir of a Snail. Then Moana 2. Just look at even last year with this new body, what they went for. They did Wish last year. They did Super Mario. So I feel like Moana 2 is, from what I've heard, at least better than it seems like both of those films, and it's a huge hit. And the alternatives, I don't know what else it would be. Look back.
Wish and
Super Mario.
Yeah, like it's better.
Yeah, they're not great films. And Moana 2 sounds like it's at least better than that. And it's making a ton of money. So it just makes sense in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know what else it would be.
You talked to me. I feel like Piece by Piece in like in concept conceptually sounds better and worthy of the nomination. But
yeah,
it seems that people don't like the people who see it are like that was nice.
No
and forget about it. And then there are a lot of people who won't see it, and there has always been a Lego bias, and I think that might stay true. So I wanted to, sure, let's throw it in.
Someone mentioned earlier that Flo should be nominated for original score, and I agree with that. Flo should be nominated in every category. Go see Flo.
Sunday, so I will report back.
It should be nominated here. It could be. I should probably have it as an honorable mention, but I don't. But this top 5, Amelia Perez is winning. I'm Still Here. Seat of the Sacred Fig, All We Imagine Is Light can be nominated here because they don't have the stupid Oscar rules. Kneecap and Universal Language is what I'm going with. So that top 3 is getting in everywhere. All We Imagine Is Light. If it could get in, it would get in everywhere. And then Kneecap is well liked. It's pretty mainstream. It's gotten a little past just being an international film. And then Universal Language also seems like it has a mainstream appeal. It's I think Canada's submission this year.
You think because
your image I forgot to update my image. Yeah, I don't. I think Didi.
Even a world where you have Isaac Wang getting in for Best Actor, you think Didi doesn't?
Well, it depends. It depends on how much of it is in. I think it has to be at least 50% in a foreign language. I think it would be Mandarin in this case, in a foreign language. And I never know with this category. Like last year, we were like, is Past Lives enough to qualify for that? And it did get in there. So I don't know if it's. I feel like having seen the film, it's not mostly in a foreign language. I feel like it's a lot in
I don't
English.
think it's eligible. So then I would
Yeah.
agree with your top 6.
Yeah. So ignore the image. I've got to update it. I recognize
I'll
the
cover it
text.
on my end.
Yes, thank you. Everyone cover it up. Cover it up. So yeah. Guys, I know Didi isn't eligible. Well, we don't know technically, but it probably won't be. But yeah, so ignore the image. I did that before. I was like, wait, I don't think it's completely complete. I think it's more in English than it is in anything else. And then lastly, speaking of, we were talking about it earlier, cinematic box office achievement. This feels pretty easy to me. Wicked is our front. Then Dune Part 2, obviously huge hit. Inside Out 2, huge hit. Gladiator 2, modest hit. Wild Robot, modest hit. Deadpool and Wolverine, huge hit. Beetlejuice, modest hit. Moana 2, huge hit. I don't even Twisters maybe, but that wasn't as huge, I think, as people remember. It's not on
But
top of
Moana 2
mind.
was late. Like it just became a hit. So I wonder.
Maybe.
Also, this must be bad because Star Wars and Avatar, do these just get in on faith that these movies usually will do well?
Probably,
But
yeah.
usually come out in December. Like what?
They don't believe in Mufasa.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand that, but it's odd that usually the biggest hits, like Wicked was supposed to come out for Christmas originally, and what would that have been? Like, would it not have gotten into this category?
Yeah.
Do you have to have like a wishing well to look into?
yeah, you have to send
What movie will do like, for example, Greatest Showman probably would have been or should have been in this category, but definitely would not have been considered because it only became a box office achievement in January. So after the Golden Globe. So would that have meant that it would have been carried over for next year?
Who knows? This category is weird. I don't even know. I don't know how it works in terms of like if everyone votes for it. In terms of like Inside Out 2 is obviously the biggest money wise here. It's like it made the most money. So do they just, in terms of the winner, give it to because that's the biggest achievement? It made the most money. Is that what they give it to, or do they give it to Wicked, which I think is Wicked or Dune, which are like films that are actually in their picture categories? Last year it was easy with Barbie because that was obviously like the biggest hit and also in a picture category. So this year will be a test for that.
I think Wicked wins because I think Wicked is the movie
that's Barbie.
Because Inside Out 2 being the highest grossing animated movie of all time, like I feel like
it's crazy.
Like it doesn't get a lot of mileage out of that the way that Wicked is getting a lot of mileage out of its box office achievement. I think because also Barbie, Wicked, these are movies that I don't think people were. Well, I was pegging. I thought Wicked would do well, as this show documented. But I think a lot of people weren't expecting those movies to be as big a hits as they are. Where Inside Out 2, it's like, of course, that movie makes a lot of money.
It's still an achievement, but of course, it made a ton of money.
I do think there's a world where Twisters takes the spot of Moana 2. But yeah, other than that, for this crazy ass category,
weird category. Sure. I don't know what's the point of it, but I guess they can give Wicked another award probably. Despicable Me 4 made a ton of money. That's worth mentioning. It almost made $1 billion, but I mean, they did do Super Mario here last year. I don't know what this category, guys. This is the top 8 I feel best about, but who knows? Honestly, who cares when it comes to this? They made money. I don't think they need an award for that. I think the money is the award. And even they've also already got popular films in all these other categories with Wicked and Dune and all that. So who knows? But those are our predictions for the Golden Globes. Any final thoughts, Anthony, on everything we did here? We covered a lot.
Yeah. I mean, when Monday rolls around, we'll officially be in the midst of award season. We'll have our first. We'll try and get a reaction.
We'll have a reaction, of some sort.
And we'll break them down, and then we have Critics' Choice. So it should be very interesting. I will continue to be fascinated if this proves to be true that the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes Freaky Friday themselves into each other's voting bodies, because it's funny to me that we live in a world now where Wicked has a much better shot, and it maybe even has a very good shot at winning Best Picture at Critics' Choice and not at the Golden Globes.
Yes, for sure. Yes, this is true. Nobody did see Inside Out becoming that big for sure, but who knows? It's gonna be a hit, but I don't think anyone saw biggest animated film.
No, I mean maybe that, but I at some point I was just like, please top Lion King, please keep going, go.
And it did, thankfully. Unless Mufasa takes it over, which I don't think it will. Guys, at least Barry Jenkins, I think this is a great note to end on. At least Barry Jenkins will have a ton of money to fund his next film.
Wasn't that what this was? I never believed it's like, oh, you know,
I think that's what it's always was. Yeah,
don't
I
have
think
to
he wanted
say
to.
that. We know nobody's gonna hold this against you. Go
He wanted to
fun,
dip his toe in and see what it was like
you know.
on
I
the
don't
blockbuster side.
begrudge him doing it. Go have fun, make the movie, try to make a good movie. We still have to see it. It might be better than the first film, the predecessor, not the original, but it might be better than the 2019 movie. We'll see. But there's no shame in then being able to then go support yourself as you make all the independent movies. If we get another Moonlight because of Mufasa, I'll say, you know what? Mission accomplished. We did what we were supposed to do. I don't think there's any shame in that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So those are our thoughts to end on here. You can look at maybe my biggest swing here on the final slide with Baby Girl. Go all out for it. So who knows? Yeah, we can get Moonlight too.
Maybe there's a little.
Maybe a little, just a little, but there's nothing wrong with a little shame. We all need a little shame. So yeah,
a little shame. That's the sequel.
Ring the bell like in Game of Thrones. So yeah, we have done it. An hour and 15 minutes. We covered all of the Golden Globe categories. Comment your thoughts.
Some people will say we've only covered half of them, but we're not doing television.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. We'll cover television, which it's like actually television season. Weird year for TV. That's all I'll say on that front. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, that is all for us. Comment your Golden Globes predictions down below. What big swings are you taking? I think this is definitely a ceremony that you should probably take a few swings. So we'll see. I hope Harris Dickinson doesn't get supporting actor so I can console him. That's a great thing to end on, I guess. Everyone go watch Drew Starkey and Harris Dickinson, variety actors on actors. So yeah, thank you all. Comment your predictions, like all that fun stuff, and we'll see you on Monday for the Golden Globes.
Bye, everyone.